Live from Lincoln and broadcasting across the state of Nebraska, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. This is the place for Husker sports with the biggest names, the best interviews, and all the inside scoops.
I got a front row seat with a big tub of buttered popcorn and a greasy half-live chicken leg.
Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it. Thursday is here. It is the Average Joe Sports Show, Average Joe Sports Show Network. Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you've had a chance to venture off over your lunch hour, or maybe you have just got the sniffles and you've been consuming day one of the NCAA Tournament. We'll hit some hoops, some early impressions. Hope you got into the Average Joe Sports Show Tournament Challenge, as we'll talk plenty of college basketball, sneak in some college football. We love doing that. We'll hear from Brandon Vogel from Counter Read, counterread.com. Vogel's checking in about 15 minutes. We'll make him put the remote down and get to his football office for a little bit. Gary Barnett going to join us. We'll have Barney pause his tournament consumption. Jeff Smith, he has been dancing 4 times with Nebraska basketball as an assistant with Danny Nee. Coach Smith, my partner in crime on high school basketball. Coach Smith with us in hour 2. And then how about some best bets, right? Daddy Burke, Burke's best bet, burksbeat.com. Danny will talk some Friday games, some of the evening session, and, of course, potential weekend matchups, maybe some ways you can grow your money. 489-1240, 489-1240, 800-825-5865. So if you were to take bets as to the Schmidt that did not make it out to a bar for the NCAA tournament today, and you would have bet on me, you would have lost. My wife, the bunny, she was at a bar this morning at 10:30. Prior to the bar, she went to the casino. I'm not kidding. And she just got home now to be tormented by our 3 pups.
See, I had my money on Junior.
Well, Junior can show up. He just can't act like an adult. Junior's over at Lazari's getting pizza ready for you. Hopefully you'll order from him. His hands are clean. He is proficient at pizza making. So listen, good on her. She loves basketball for years and years and years. We're always down in the rail yard doing tournament stuff. Last year we were at the casino, and we're hunkered down here. It's different being in studio, but that's okay. Maybe we'll change that here in the future. But listen, it's a great day. Couple of things. How about Coach Tom Penders being 1,000% right as he blew up the ACC on Tuesday? They are having a rough tourney. Louisville gets drilled by Creighton. I know there's some bittersweetness for many of you with that result, 89-75 Jays roll. But Clemson is getting dismantled.
Called that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, and McNeese State's whole mindset is, all right, it's a business trip. Last year was a field trip. They're good, or at least Clemson's really that bad.
Well, it's McNeese has had 2 things going for him. One, they're the more athletic team.
Sure.
That's really helped him out. And 2, they're just daring Clemson to shoot it, and Clemson can't hit the broadside of a barn right now if they wanted to.
They're a 38% three-point shooting team, yet they're less athletic than McNeese State, and they're getting drilled. They're not rebounding. And I think one of the Snitley boys in the chat, we'll get our starting 5 shout out, said it looked like we're watching Nebraska when they don't want to perform. When your shots aren't falling, you're not defending, and you're getting run out the gym.
This could have been a game if Clemson could have hit their threes at their season average, but they're not. They're not even close to that, and the wheels started falling off, and Clemson packed it in.
No, I mean,
I enjoy it. It's a case of right now, if Clemson enjoy football season next year. It's a long time away.
It's awful to watch. And you're on this tournament stage. They were a popular pick. They were an absolutely dark horse in some college basketball analysts' mind. I had them go to the Sweet 16 against Houston. Georgia is getting absolutely drilled by Gonzaga. There's really not been a good game so far, but that could change.
Well, that Wisconsin and Montana game was good for a little bit. Good for
Wisconsin's got. I tell you what, Montana's got a squad.
Yeah, Wisconsin poured on. I picked Montana, so that was a tough one for me.
That's just principle, though, for you.
No, I thought that was
not Wisconsin hate.
I knew there was going to be one big upset early today, and there hasn't been that one. McNeese is probably it. But I also picked McNeese. But there's always that one before we come on the air. That's the one big upset that lets everyone know, oh yeah, this is madness. So I thought that was going to be Montana. It wasn't. They hung tight pretty good. So did Alabama State. I know they ended up losing it pretty hard in the second half, but Alabama State was hanging with Auburn through most of that first half.
So let me ask you this question. What's the one team you refuse to pick every year? What's the one team you know they might be good, but they burned you in the past? You come back to them, they burn you again. I've always had a love-hate relationship with Syracuse. Because they've had incredible squads during the Boeheim era. And when you pick them, they fold. When you say, nah, they're not going to do it, then they go on a run. I've always been wrong on Arizona. I listened to my buddy Jay Bird, who went to Arizona Wildcat basketball camp when he was a youth. Arizona hosted old Jay Bird from Hayes Center, Nebraska. That was cool. That's awesome. He got to rub elbows with Lute Olson and company. Well, Arizona, I'm never right when I pick Arizona. If I pick them to win, they lose. If I pick them to lose, they go on a tear. And I hear about how I should have picked Arizona.
It's Louisville for me.
Is it?
Even dating back
I
to
think
years.
Most folks who aren't in that Creighton orbit probably picked Louisville.
And I thought they were underseeded this year. I thought, for sure.
Turns out they should have been a 13 seed. You don't get destroyed and let's say
this even goes back to Pitino years, because remember that year where
they won the title in 2013 and then it was vacated allegedly.
I remember picking against them in that 2013 year, because that was the year that Kevin Ware had that gruesome leg injury and they kind of rallied together. I remember I faded them that year and they went and won it all, which was tough. So yeah, it's Louisville for me, I think.
Okay. Arizona
or Purdue
burns me. Syracuse burns me, but we'll take some of your comments in the street.
And for about 5-6 years, it feels like Purdue has burned me every single year, but I'm not willing to put them in that echelon this year because we'll see how this year goes. I had them over High Point today. I have them beating McNeese and then losing to Houston.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I can totally see that still. So.
That's fair. Well, hopefully your brackets are okay. Pretty interesting investigative work by Pete Nako, Savon 3. You want a top 25 basketball team. You want a team that goes deep into the tournament. His research indicates this. You'll need $4.5 to $7 million per year for college basketball. From a Nebraska football standpoint, we'll talk some young pups that you're anxious to see spring and beyond. And what's our cutoff? Let's decide that for young. Is true sophomore or below count? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. But I've got a list. You've got a list. Good.
I gotta say, once you're a third year in the program, I think
you're not young anymore.
Not young. Yeah. You once you've made it through a couple of fall camps.
For sure. The Magic of Nine. Great article and column by Brandon Vogel. We'll dive into that. You're invited to join us different ways. Of course, on the Average Joe Sports Show, can like and subscribe. YouTube channel. Tell a friend about us. The Average Joe Sports Show Twitter handle, can watch the show that way as well. AJ Sports Radio. Hear us on the Average Joe Sports Show network, and take us with on demand when you demand it with the podcast, Spotify, and iTunes. Let's get into our starting five. Shout outs. Anonymous is in. It's a cold, dark, miserable day. That was yesterday with the blizzard. But he's like, look, it's not because of the weather. It's because Creighton won. Creighton dominated. They had a hell of a good answer with 12 straight after the lead got cut to 4. Arlo says, I'm in. Bracket is perfect so far, but it's looking like McNeese is going to screw that up. My wife was furious because her bracket's already been set on fire. She totally picked against Creighton, so that upset her. Uncle Larry is here. Good to have you, Uncle Larry. Kobe is in. Only thing that could make the day worse is if UNO wins tonight. I think, come on now, I think we're all pulling for UNO just to see what type of reaction Slick Rick would have, one, but two, our old partner Gary Sharp calling Mavs games. So I think we're all cheering for the Mavs. We know that they're an 18.5-point underdog. That might be a generous number. Tuck is here. Cover. Elijah should give his broken car to the loser of this challenge. He likes that.
How it's looking right now, I'll get my car back if it's a loser.
The Game Dog's here. Says Creighton was easy money today. Neil had a hell of a game. 29, 12, and 6. Hepburn's legit. But if the only thing the Cardinal had in the first half, Creighton size smoked Louisville. Right on, Game Dog. You're not wrong there. Jeff Snitley is here, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty. Says Clemson is doing their best Nebraska impersonation. You are right about that. Black Hills Brennan is in. Says maybe 6th here, but tied for 1st. Love it. Justin is in. Ronnie is in. QB1 Ace from Arkansas says this. Oh, my God, Clemson is playing like they're throwing the game. My bracket's already busted in the first 5 hours. Man, I had Clemson going a bit, but not that far.
Don't look now. Clemson's got the lead down to 13 with 6 minutes left.
Well, look at that. There may be hope. NASCAR Eric is in. Good to have you, NASCAR. Tiger Shark Diver checks in. Good to have you. And more of your comments. UNO getting their first tournament win before Nebraska would ruin the day. Well, that would be something that there'd be some explaining to do. So, yeah, I just don't see it, right? Famous last words. I just don't see it. But we'll see where things go. So let's dive into some of these young guys we're interested in. And I went through the roster. There's clearly some positions, but I want to start with the offensive line, Elijah. And you've got 3 guys and maybe more, right? What's Tamua, Gibson, Pyle, and Grant Bricks? What's their future look like? You got Kahuna Torres also, and then there's Sam Sledge. So there's 5 young offensive linemen from past classes that have been in the program a year, maybe 2, that have a lot of years left to play. What kind of spring do they have? You've got Bly Hill, that's a true sophomore that's coming back from injury. You've got Larry Tarver that has been mentioned quite a bit. And you know one guy that I'm really interested in seeing, and he's on the defensive line. And how much does he contribute? How ready is he? Because we know he's a freak athlete. It's Malcolm Simpson. Defensive tackle, but could be an edge guy. What do you get from Cortez Mills? How Big Ten ready is he with that talent and athleticism? And then, clearly, obvious take here, you got a handful of true freshmen that contributed at a high level, and that's Dylan, that's Barney, that's Shavers. What's their jump look like? I know we've touched on that before, but what type of path to playing time does Malcolm Simpson have on the defensive line for Nebraska? On the offensive side, Jamarian Parker's the guy I'm going to circle.
Yeah, I'm on the offensive side. I know you have a top 2 wide receiver pairing with Dane Key and with Ja'Cory Barney. What can Cortez Mills do? What can
Gilmore is a sophomore?
But the one thing I feel like that room really lacks, and it's kind of brought to light because Carter Nelson, his injury status a bit up in the air. I know there's some people out there don't think he's going to play this next year. I've heard positive reports on his recovery from that hip surgery. I don't think it's going to be out that long. We'll see, though. Might be a guy that misses fall camp.
You hear hip injury, you think Bo Jackson.
Yes, and I think that's
not what it is.
I'm not sure he'll be back in time for fall camp, but I do think we'll probably see him in a Husker uniform at some point this year. Not going to put my life savings on that, but I've heard good things. I look at a guy in Quinn Clark that apparently Dana liked what he saw coming in last fall. There was thoughts maybe they were going to use him in the USC game a little bit. I just wonder, who is that red zone receiving threat going to be for Nebraska in 2025? You have a lot of guys, I think, that are route runners on the smaller side. Whenever you need to go up and get a jump ball, 3rd down, 5 yards to go, and you know what? No one's open. You just got to throw it up to somebody. Who's that guy going to be? I'm looking for that. I'm with you with Jamarian Parker on the offensive side. Defensively, we've hit a couple guys. Keona Davis, still a young guy. I think you need to hear some good things from him. But I'd add...
Got your answer, and he ain't a young guy.
I'd add, I know this is not a spring answer, but I think the guy that can really raise the ceiling of this defense quickly could be Christian Jones at that linebacker position. If he's able to come in and play the speed and size that he adds to that defense, I think could be big.
Well, I like QB1 Ace's take here. Harburg, your red zone guy.
That's a good thought, too. One more name, Dawson Merritt defensively. Also another guy that's not going to be playing this spring.
Brandon Vogel's with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Hang on.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/radio. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit.
Nothing like an ice-cold glass of freshly squeezed OJ. Gotta love brunch.
That reminds me, did you know when you get a financial fresh start at Members-Owned Credit Union, you get their famous Grade A service with perks like healthier finances and a free bonus gift?
It sounds like Members-Owned can really help you squeeze the most out of your money.
You know what that means? More brunch! Get a financial fresh start packed with benefits so you can fuel your journey. Learn more at memberzonecu.org/fresh. Limitations apply. Federally insured by the NCUA. Equal housing lender.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb, expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer $149 or less ends soon. One expert tax prep for $149 or less. Try Jackson Hewitt today and save. Whew. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations open. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. And that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back with you. It is madness time. He has his bracket filled out. It is frame worthy, at least so far. Brandon Vogel with us here from Cowder Reed, cowderreed.com here on the Average Joe Sports Sports Show can watch this interview as well as hear it along the Average Joe Radio Network at Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter, YouTube channels where you find us. Can check out some counter read work with Brandon Vogel, Aaron Sorensen, also on their YouTube content. Vogues, how we doing? How many games have you had a chance to kind of park it and watch today? Or has it been one of those kind of hectic Thursdays where there's been little time? We all can't be like my wife at the casino at 10 a.m. and then the bar at 10:30.
No, that wasn't me today. The toddler's on spring break, so I've been out and about. So caught most of the second half of the first round of games, and then just got back down. Have the games on here in my office, so jumped in now. I got a special deal with my bracket. The first 30 days were free, but now the rent is coming due for me with Clemson and VCU. It looks like so. It was nice while it lasted.
Now, you didn't utilize the toddler's knowledge with upsets in order to pick the perfect bracket. I found through plenty of bracket challenges with family and whatnot that the less you know, the more you know, and toddlers tend to do a really good job picking those upsets because they don't know anything and they tend
sometimes
to
it's okay.
Yeah, I should have done the mascot method with him and see where that left us. UC San Diego probably would have won then. But that's okay. Probably no worse than what I've got.
Well, it's all right, folks. We will commiserate together. Young player, give us a couple of young guys you're interested in here this spring for Nebraska football. We've kind of laid out some names. Parker and Simpson are two of my names, just to kind of track a little bit. Where can they be by the end of spring and what's their outlook for fall? Time will tell on it, but two exciting players that can provide some depth and talent for Nebraska. Any of the freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or true sophomore crew that you've been tracking a bit?
I'm kind of interested in Julian Marks, the offensive lineman from Kansas. With Nebraska this spring, certainly gonna be pretty interesting in terms of just what we see up front there. So he's one who jumped out. Simpson would be on my list. There's room there for a defensive lineman, I think, to make an early push. Now it's a big ask for a true freshman. That said, maybe not the class, not an interior defensive lineman, but we saw two freshmen do that right away in Matt Rule's first season. So Simpson would definitely be among that group for me as well.
One of the things that I remember from whenever Dana stepped in was that, like, in DeKel Shorts as well, is that they don't believe that you need to get a whole bunch of experience as a wide receiver. So I look at that wide receiver position group as being one where young guys get in. Dana Holgerson, his offense doesn't run the most complex route tree. DeKel Shorts, I mean, he thinks that you can get guys on the field pretty early. I look at that position outside of Dane Key and Ja'Cory Barney, with Ja'Cory Barney himself as a young guy. I think there's a lot of room for some of these younger guys to step up and get on the field with a lot of snaps early.
Yeah, that's a great point. I agree with you with wide receiver generally, and then you add in the Holgerson piece of it. I mean, I think when you look at a guy like Cortez Mills, like, I think the plan is for him to play pretty early. And we saw, Ja'Cory Barney, like, we saw the flashes, I think, of what he could be during spring last year, and then he went out and had a freshman year that probably even exceeded what was fair to expect. So that's a position where, Nebraska's done a good job adding veteran talent in the transfer portal, but there's still plenty of snaps to be had there. So for a young guy, it is a good spot to look, I think, for somebody to make a quick splash.
Game Dog in the chat also threw in a name that feel idiotic for not having in here, or at least mentioning, but Willis McGahee. I mean, you saw limited snaps, but he got a lot of pound for his punch. I mean, he was big. He was big against big opponents, and really is a guy that Nebraska for sure wanted to keep. You wanted to keep all your Miami crew. They did. And sky's the limit for him. I mean, super athletic, but that high level of high school ball certainly transferred. The moment wasn't too big for him last year.
No, it wasn't. I mean, when you extend it to the redshirt freshmen, and I know you even said sophomores who maybe we haven't seen a ton from. McGahee is certainly a key player. Vincent Shavers is as well, though he played a bit more, so it almost feels like he's a returning. A bit more about him. Yeah, I would put Grant Bricks in that group too. Really big get for Nebraska on the O-line. Is he in a spot where you start to see him, and can he challenge for snaps on the O-line with a guy with his recruiting pedigree? I think that's what you hope for when you have the ability, the luxury, I guess, to redshirt him for a year. You hope that he's able to start showing flashes of what we thought he could be coming out of high school pretty early on.
And Brandon, is it fair to say that with the impending 105 cut down coming for fall camp, that there's probably a good chance that some of these names that we've mentioned and talked about needing to have a big spring, they might not be getting invites to fall camp if they don't have a good spring?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. The higher up the roster you go in terms of freshman, redshirt, freshman, sophomore, I think that becomes even more likely. And that part of it still stinks. Like, it's never not gonna stink that we've just found ourselves in a spot where college football is that way now. But I'll give the coaching staff credit. Like, it's kind of embraced that challenge, and you have a pretty good feeling that they're not afraid to have those tough conversations. And it's, I think really is a conversation of like, hey, here's where you stand. Like, if you want to look around, that's probably your best move. So again, there's nothing that makes me happy about this piece of what's coming for college football, but I do at least take a little bit of solace. And I think this coaching staff is able to handle it pretty well.
Well, we're getting inundated with updates from the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel stream. The Fighting Tigers of Clemson have cut it down to 8 with 2:02 left. Buckle up, pucker up, and we shall see.
And let's go Mustangs.
Vogues, really enjoyed your column today with Counter Read, and you titled it The Magic of 9. And 9 didn't seem like a big deal until, well, it was gone. And it is the most underappreciated thing about Nebraska football. The fact that you'd roll out of bed, you'd play probably 3 to 5 losable games a year, more so when you move to the Big 12, or depending on what your non-conference was. And you still cranked out 9. Typically you were at 10. And then once you got to 11 and beyond, you had some special teams. And let's spend a moment on that. And you kind of broke it down, expected wins versus actual wins. And that has been a big time kicker for Nebraska the last 10 years.
Yeah, it has. So, we talked about it last week on the show, because that was last week's newsletter. Is, I kind of set 9 wins as, I think, the point where Nebraska has had an undeniably good season if they were to get there. And to your point, like it used to be, I was 23 years old before the first time Nebraska didn't win 9 games. And that streak started like 5 years before I was born. So it's just pretty remarkable when you kind of put it in a certain context. But if Nebraska's to get there now, so what I kind of found with this expected wins versus actual wins, and I looked at the last 10 years of college football, is 9 happens to be the point where things kind of like the graph crosses over, where actual and expected wins are the closest of everything from 1 to 12. Like teams that, go 1-11 or 2-10 tend to be like a little bit unlucky, which, they're not very good. Nobody's saying that they are, but they're probably a little bit better than going 1-11 or 2-10. At the other end of the spectrum, it's less true. Like, you become an 11 or 12 win team, you probably got some bounces. You probably had, turnover margin that was way positive. And were you that much better than a 9-win team? But 9 wins, like, that's where I call it the truest, based on that research I did for today's newsletter. It's just, if you're 9 wins good, you're usually about 9 wins good. That said, Nebraska, no matter its win total over the past decade or so, has consistently bucked that trend.
And is that specifically in game? Like, because I look at it, and if Nebraska's 9 wins good compared to college football in 2025, that could be 10 or 11, because comparatively to a lot of SEC and Big Ten schedules, I mean, they don't have, I guess, some of the real scary teams. Penn State's on the schedule, but you don't have Ohio State or Oregon. You avoid both those. You get Michigan at home. Like, comparatively, and not if Nebraska's 9 win good compared to the rest of the SEC and the Big Ten, it could be 10 or 11.
Yeah, it could be. And I mean, that's part of the thing with thinking about 9 wins. And, Osborne never won fewer than that. Devaney did just twice in 11 seasons. Solich only had 1 in 6. And then, to Chris's point of like taking it for granted, September 4th, Bo Pelini Day. Like, it used to just be a joke that, oh yeah, Bo's going to win 9 games, but what else? What else can you do? So, the meaning of 9 wins changes all the time. For Nebraska in the Big Ten, like, if you get to that mark, like, you're ranked in the playoff top 25 at worst, kind of depending a little bit on how you get there. And in an 18-team Big Ten, we've only got 1 season of that. Like, to be 9-3 there, yeah, it probably does mean that you're closer to maybe 10 or 11 wins good. It's just the league is that difficult.
I don't want to downplay the magnificence of 9 or 10 or the old Big 8 or even some Big 12 years. It's just, you have potential for more games. You've got a limited roster, and you better be right with who you're spending your money on. And you better be right with who you're recruiting. Vogue's going to ask for a little overtime here.
Okay.
More from Brandon Vogel with Counter Read, Thursday edition here of the Average Joe Sports Show.
KFOR is now available in high-definition stereo.
This is the good stuff.
Listen in your HD radio-equipped vehicle at FM 106.3 HD3.
Listen to this.
Keeping Nebraska connected
everywhere
with over 100,000 watts of HD power.
Your testosterone test is free during March Madness at Limitless Mail. That's a $500 value, March only. You'll receive a complete blood panel with individual consult, compliments of Limitless Mail. Learn your testosterone levels and receive a personalized health plan free. If you want more strength, more energy, more drive, find out if you have low T. Schedule online today at limitlessmail.com. March Madness ends March 31st.
For Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Air, the stars and stripes on their trucks is more than just a symbol. It's about dedication, pride, and community. Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Air is a family-run, locally owned business. They live here. Their neighbors, family, and friends live here. They're proud to serve the Lincoln community and are dedicated to your comfort in any season. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for caring, honest, exceptional service at reasonable prices. Or go to patriotlincoln.com.
March 16th through the 22nd is National Poison Prevention Week. Did you know that medications are the leading cause of child poisoning today? Accidental ingestion can happen in an instant. Take a few minutes this week to check your medicine cabinet for expired or unneeded medications. Safely disposing of them not only protects your loved ones, but also helps prevent misuse and environmental harm. Find a participating pharmacy near you at leftovermeds.com. That's leftovermeds.com, because a small step today could save a life.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to slow
Dig down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KFOR is now available in high definition stereo.
This is the good stuff.
Listen in your HD radio equipped vehicle. We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back with you here. It is madness time, opening day of the NCAA Tournament. Brandon Vogel with us here from Counterread, counterread.com. Get to be a part of his network and his newsletter with Aaron Sorensen, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. It's the Average Joe Sports Show. And Vogues, I love the text I got here for the break. If only Clemson had Amir Abdullah.
It's what it takes when you're fighting for your life against McNeese. That Amir Abdullah play that basically saved that game. One of the better plays that I've seen, but it never will get the credit it's due because you needed it to beat McNeese. But yeah, just remembered it fondly as I was watching Clemson slowly fade away.
Well, this has turned into the Amir hour. I love it. Or we could, the last 20 minutes anyway. Yes, McNeese, number one on the Amir wow list. But how about the 4th and 8 to allow the Hail Mary against Northwestern?
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't thought about that play in a while, but that one, yeah. That was sheer no, I'm just gonna make this happen on my own. Thank you for getting me the ball. I'll take it.
Got to get Ron to the 50. We've got to get Ron to the 50 so we can chuck it.
Now a free throw battle between McNeese and Clemson. Brandon, I'm not sure if Amir had hooping abilities to help out Clemson at a time like this. Looking back in the theme of March Madness, which former Husker would you draft for an NCAA tournament team? If you get one former Husker, put him in any position on the court, which one are you drafting for your NCAA tournament team?
Oh, that's a tough one. Who did you take?
Kenny Walker.
Kenny Walker. That's a good one. I might go the gotta have a point guard, also schoolboy legend in this sport, but I might take Rex Burkett. I might build from there, build from the backcourt and go with Rex, freaky athletic, and yeah, I think I'll go with that play. You gotta have some guts come March.
There's a Randy Gregory
anonymous wins.
Mo Purify for me.
I thought about him too. He's high on my list.
Mo Purify, freaky athlete, his ability to go high point the ball. Everyone was always talking about his massive hands. That dude could palm it and dunk it. I'm taking Mo Purify.
Kenny Walker, just from what coaches told me, they watched him clearly down in Crane, Texas, to recruit him for football. But the way he annihilated people on the basketball court, guy was nuts.
Wasn't that the same story with Oklahoma and Adrian Peterson?
Probably, where it's it's poster session where he's just, and you're in this, if you ever watch Landman, think of that type of setting. That's the town apparently of Crane, Texas, where everyone's working in the oil fields. And then you've got a multi-million-dollar high school gymnasium because you can. And there's Kenny Walker just going Jordan on everybody. QB1 Ace likes Garth Glissman. Garth was the football basketball guy for sure.
Also got to think about Austin Allen here, I think. Guy who had D1 basketball offers before he decided to play football at Nebraska.
Who is the former Husker basketball player who ended up getting an NFL training camp invite? I think I want to say he transferred to Iowa State, and then
is it Jacobson? Was there
no? What's Jacobson? Jacobson sounds right.
There's his last name. He's part of that vaunted Tim Miles recruiting class that ended up leaving. But no, Jacobson was the last name. He played tight end.
Michael Jacobson.
Yep, I remember him.
Yep.
Yeah. Good work.
Yeah, played at Iowa State, and then played. He's currently with the New Orleans Saints practice squad.
There was a time where, with Randy Gregory, where we were going to play each other one-on-one. But each interview, he kind of would say, "You don't want none of this." And it went from a laugh and a smile in his voice to serious. And I didn't keep badgering him about it, but it was because I think Kent State offered him to play basketball.
Yeah, that sounds right. That would make sense.
Him and Antonio Gates, right? Hanging in the rafters. Good work. Good poll with the basketball or football to basketball. Vogues, I want to kind of wind down here and get your take on the spring fling topic. We're going to ask Barney about it.
McNeese has officially won.
Okay.
69-67.
Let me just do this here. Hold on one sec.
You have a lighter?
One. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
The sound effect was great for those listening on radio, too.
That's my bracket. But the spring fling, this can move forward. Do you lob a phone call to Wyoming? Do you lob a phone call to Kansas, K-State? What do you do if you're Matt Rule moving forward and you can have a practice partner?
Yeah, it's really intriguing. Something people have, kind of pined for a long time. And it always seemed like, well, the NCAA is never going to do that. But yeah, I think Kansas, when you look at the staff that they have and obviously the proximity, K-State would certainly fall into that group as well. Kind of programs that I think approach things fairly similarly. So both of those are intriguing right out of the gates. You look around at some of those
basketball. Schools. I mean, basketball has closed scrimmages.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Iowa State too would be intriguing, or heck, even, I don't know if this is on the table. Like if you're willing to go down to the FCS level for this sort of thing, probably wouldn't be your first choice. But when you look at those Dakota schools, certainly winning cultures and a lot of good players there. So it's a really interesting concept. And I think particularly as the game has changed so many of the changes, in my opinion, to college football, like, haven't been good for fans. And here's something where, even if it was closed, like, you'd still hear about it, like you'd still find out what happened there. Here's something that would be intriguing, a way to give something back of like, oh, hey, maybe nobody's going to play an actual spring game anymore, but what they're going to get to do is face off against some actual opponents in a scrimmage or practice setting. So you'd claw one back there, at least in my book, a little bit.
Vogues, tell us about Counter Read, what you and Aaron Sorensen are doing, how folks can get involved.
Yeah, you can head to counterread.com, twice weekly newsletter from myself and Aaron. That's 2 subscriber newsletters. If you're a paid subscriber, we also do a couple of free pieces each week so people can check us out and give it a try. We talked a little bit about today's newsletter about 9 wins and sort of what it's meant at Nebraska and I think what it means in a bigger picture in more recent college football. Earlier this week, wrote a little preview of the Nebraska women's tournament game. So we'll obviously I'll be keeping an eye on that tomorrow, and then we'll get ready for a little bit of men's tournament basketball. Kind of interested by the crown. But we'll see what it actually looks like when we finally get there.
I'm interested in Crown and Water, but good on you for taking time out, moving forward on that one. Counterread.com. Get his book too with John Cook, Dream Like a Champion, Brandon Vogel, and at Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. Vogues, we'll talk Saturday. Appreciate you, bud.
Sounds good, guys.
There he is, Brandon Vogel with us. We'll wind down this first hour.
And we'll get an updated look at the Average Joe Sports Show Bracket Challenge. We still have 8 perfect brackets.
Yay.
The Arts for the Soul music series continues with organist David Von Barron. Sunday, March 23rd, 3 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church. This concert is in collaboration with the Lincoln Organ Showcase. Von Barron is a native of Falls City and loves to introduce and excite younger audiences about classical music. For more info and to buy tickets, call 402-477-6037 or go to fpclincoln.org. Enjoy Arts for the Soul at First Presbyterian Church, 840 South 17th.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress. Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees. That ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, because this deal's for a limited time. $149
for tax prep that's $149 or less. Hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Important Social Security news. President Trump's Doge chief, Elon Musk, says Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. And he says there's so much fraud, it's the big one to eliminate. Now, Rob Finnerty is on Newsmax tonight, warning that your Social Security could be in danger. Already, Doge is slashing half the Social Security offices across the nation. Rob Finnerty says that's wrong. Millions will find their benefits denied. You paid into Social Security all your life. Now, Rob Finnerty exposes the lies about Social Security and why it must be protected. Watch Rob's special series on the dangers to Social Security at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Find Newsmax on all major cable systems or download the free Newsmax app. Millions of Americans are switching to Newsmax because it's news they can trust. It's real news for real people.
Save big money now at Menards. Transform your space with Window Images light filtering cordless cellular shades. Its energy-efficient design traps air, making your rooms cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. The soft fabric filters light for the perfect combination of function and fashion. And they can be trimmed to it for free in-store. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
One final time this first hour on the Average Joe Sports Show. YouTube channel can watch, Twitter as well. AJ Sports Radio to give a follow. Spotify, iTunes for the podcast. Find Elijah on Twitter as well at Herbal Essence at Schmidt_radio for me. Dive into some thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Jeff Smith going to be with us, a longtime Nebraska assistant under Danny Nee, Hall of Fame coach at Lincoln Southeast. Good coach's take on this year's tournament. Some early reaction from coach on potential upsets. And the upset of the day so far was McNeese over Clemson. Gary Barnett with us in about 10 minutes. We'll dive further into that spring fling concept, who you take on and what you do moving forward if it becomes a reality where you can practice and play against another college program. We'll try and coax Barney's Final Four out of him as well. Barney does a family bracket. That's the only bracket he does.
Good for him. Doesn't want to be publicly embarrassed. I get it.
I know. He does the old pick 'em with us every Thursday during the college football season.
But he gets those right usually.
No, I know he gets them real right.
Yeah.
So away we go. But yeah, it's a good day, man. Find your way. Wife and brother bumped into each other at the old sports bar earlier today, and makes me smile with pride. Yeah. I expect my brother to do it. My wife is so good now, being a basketball fan, that she kind of takes a day or two off to start the tournament.
You picked the right one, Schmitty.
That's what people tell her all the time.
You said it's a good day. It's been a good day for 8 people so far in the bracket challenge who still remain perfect. Jay Moore remains perfect.
Black shirt Husker NFLer.
And expert prognosticator for the tournament, apparently. Also, Coach Brandon, Jack Wilson, Chowda King, Jay Downey, the hardcores, along with 2 brackets which remain unnamed, so I cannot give credit to who those people are.
Okay.
It should be noted, as of now, BYU leads VCU by 14, and Gonzaga's up to a little against Georgia. Of those brackets, only 3 have both BYU and Gonzaga. That would be Jack Wilson, Jay Downey, and then one of those unnamed brackets. So it looks like only 3 may be remaining perfect here in roughly an hour.
Yeah, it's fun though, man. Right? I mean, BYU's a team that better go far with their investment. We kind of teased this early. We'll get to Coach Smith's take on it here in about a half hour. But how about that price tag? $4.5 to $7 million.
And I don't know, based on what I've been hearing, I don't know how far off Nebraska is from that $4.5 million number for their roster for this.
I think if I were to guess, I think they probably got 2. Wouldn't you say 2 million?
I'd put it
2.5.
Just under 4 is probably where I'd put it.
Would you? Okay.
I shouldn't say no inside sources, but like just hear it through the grapevine type things. I don't think Nebraska necessarily was well short. I mean, Iowa is a team that was well short of that $4.5 million number. I don't think Nebraska was at $4.5 million. I don't think they were too far.
Is Iowa even dropping $300,000? Were they even paying $300,000 to their starters?
I don't know. It comes down to paying the right guys in the portal.
Yes.
Like I think Chucky would have listened to Nebraska if they were even close to what Louisville was offering, but they weren't.
No, they weren't, because I mean the word on the street was Nebraska was capping their offer at $750, and then they overspent on at least one guy for that. All right, hour 2 on the way with the Average Joe Sports Show. Gary Barnett next.
I'm Chief Dave Engler. When a fire truck hits a pothole with 12 tons of fast-moving equipment and crew, it's a problem. On your ballot in April is a measure to continue Lincoln's quarter-cent sales tax for street improvements. A vote against eliminates the street funding. A vote for will not raise your taxes and keeps the funding in place. And better roads means faster response times. Learn more at LincolnOnTheMove.com.
We use our Lincoln streets every day, and so do first responders. But visitors and out-of-town commuters also do. A quarter-cent sales tax for streets passed by voters in 2019 makes those commuters pay about $6 million a year to improve streets. On your ballot in April is a measure to continue it. A vote against means no more funds from commuters. A vote for will not raise your taxes, and commuters still pay. Learn more at LincolnOnTheMove.com. Paid for by the City of Lincoln.
In the midst of adversity, some are built to run towards the chaos. That's the drive that defines a Nebraska State Trooper. Mission-focused, service-minded, always ready. If you have the drive, we'll help you build a career. Applications are now open to become a Nebraska State Trooper. Numerous career paths, unlimited potential, making a difference for the people in communities all across Nebraska. Apply today at nebraskatroopers.com.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's with limited time savings on the supplies pros need. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $100 on every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances. And don't miss your chance to activate and earn 3 times the points on select DeWalt and Klein tools. Lowe's, we help. You save. Valid to 3/28. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See associate or Lowe's.com for more details on qualifying items.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3. Lincoln.
From
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Making good on a campaign promise, President Trump signed an executive order for the Education Secretary to shrink the department and return student issues to states along with funding. The president says programs like Pell Grants, Title I funding, and special needs resources will still have services. ABC's Alex Perche has more.
Most local and state school districts actually handle the curriculum. Whenever you look at the bucket of things that the Department of Education handles, it's federal student aid. They have an Office of Civil Rights. They also have an office that deals with disability and rehabilitation. And so, the onus for curriculum has largely been on state and local districts.
The court case over deportation flights under President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act is ramping up. The Justice Department says the judge's request for more information on alleged gang members on board those flights oversteps authority.
In response to his questions about the flights, Judge James Boasberg says he's received a 6-paragraph sworn statement issued in the name of a regional ICE official in Texas. Judge Boasberg calls the government's filing woefully insufficient. He's now set a new 10 a.m. deadline for an update on the possible invocation of the state secrets privilege, a rarely used legal way of keeping military matters from the courts.
In the Middle East, Israeli forces resumed ground operations in Gaza on top of additional airstrikes following the collapse of the ceasefire with Hamas. ABC's Matt Rivers is in Tel Aviv.
Israel sending in ground forces to operate deep inside of Gaza for the first time in months. The IDF says its forces securing a key corridor, also operating across northern Gaza. This as Israeli bombardments across Gaza continue relentlessly. Health officials there saying dozens were killed overnight. The death toll since Tuesday morning, a staggering 500+ people.
Hamas also firing off its first rocket, it says, toward Israel since the collapse of the ceasefire. You're listening to ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The site has been selected for a new convention center. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News. Members of Assemble Lincoln today announced they selected the site at 13th and M as the location for a proposed downtown Lincoln Convention Center.
So if you walked out the front door of the Cornhusker Hotel, you would be looking at that block that is the selected site.
Assemble Lincoln Chair and State Senator Elliot Bostar says the next steps in development include outreach and negotiations with landowners. Also submit an application to the state of Nebraska for the Lancaster County turnback tax. KFOR News asks how long before that process will be completed.
Certainly by the end of this year, we hope to be past the turnback application and approval process.
From there, Assemble Lincoln will work to establish a timeline for funding and construction. You can read more at KFORnow.com. Earlier today, Nebraska Attorney General Mike Hilgers announced that he has filed a cease and desist letter against 104 stores in the Omaha metro area that sell Delta 8 products that contain THC. Hilgers says his office is demanding that each store return a signed document indicating their assurance of voluntary compliance.
These stores have 30 days to either comply with our terms and take these products off their shelves like the other stores have, or we will sue.
Hilgers says many of the stores also sell synthetically produced THC-containing products, which would put their tobacco licenses at risk. A new urban gardens policy proposal would give everyone access to homegrown produce in Lincoln. City of Lincoln's Chief Sustainability Officer Kim Morrow says 2 changes to city code would include individual homeowners be allowed to operate urban gardens as a primary use in residential districts and sell produce and plants on site. The other would have urban gardening be included as a home occupation.
This initiative directly supports 2 key goals in our local food plan: increasing access to healthy food for all residents and investing in our local food and farm communities to strengthen food production and security.
You can read more at KFORnow.com. Increasing clouds tonight, a low of 34. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
As the town thaws and cabin fever subsides, Lincoln focuses on the next season. No, the green grass and colorful excitement has nothing to do with spring in Nebraska. Here, it comes later in Memorial Stadium. Get through the spring and summer months by talking Husker football daily at 9 with the Morning Hookup, and then at 4 with the Average Joe Sports Show. Football season is every season on Lincoln's KFOR.
Good afternoon from the 1011 newsroom. I'm Cole Miller. Coming up, weather is, of course, the big headline with all of that snow and wind. From downed trees to a massive stretch of I-80 closed, we're tracking the latest with the storm. Plus, power outages.
Live from Lincoln and broadcasting across the state of Nebraska, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. This is the place for Husker sports with the biggest names, the best interviews, and all the inside scoops.
I got a front row seat with a big tub of buttered popcorn and a greasy half-live chicken leg.
Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back into it. It's hour 2 of the Average Joe Sports Show. We say hey to Hall of Fame coach Gary Barnett, and got a lot to hit on. Spring ball coming up, and Coach Barnett, it is bracket time. What a day. It's a great time of year. The blizzard moved through yesterday. We're doing well here. How you been?
Doing pretty well, Chris. So just hanging in. Weather's we've had a little cold, windy spell for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and it was better in January, December, February than it is March. But this was the time of year when there's a lot of people down here between spring training and spring breaks for everybody, and so it's pretty active down here right now.
You get geared up for this time of year with spring football. But I want to start with college basketball. How much of a topic was it, is it, when you were coaching? Was it something that was prevalent on your staffs, guys gearing up for the tournament, or was it really just about spring football and the task at hand?
No, we had fun with the basketball, and we were always close to the basketball coaches. But no, all of us on our staff played basketball. Guys played noon basketball. I mean, we got fired up this time of year, and we would always make sure we didn't that we kept the Monday of the championship game open, and we'd all go out someplace and watch it together, the coaches. So no, it was a big deal. And even though, we were told we could not participate in a pool. And so, we didn't. And, that's basically how Coach Neuheisel got his first sort of lashing was from that. And it was, it scared the heck out of everybody else. But no, it was always a great time. We loved it. March Madness, game on all the time. So
there's no Rick Neuheisel Memorial pool in Colorado.
No, there isn't. But we all stayed pretty close to that, and it was sort of ridiculous. But at the time, that was. You think about all the things that were at that time considered wrong or you couldn't do, and it was just sort of ridiculous. But that time they wanted to keep money out of it. They wanted to keep betting out of it as much as they can. And now, every team's sponsored by some sports betting organization.
Sure.
And, so it's crazy. But, we had a great time with it.
Gary Barnett with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Interested to kind of get your thoughts moving forward. And before we end it, I will get Coach Barnett's Final Four picks. But what's your take on Coach Prime here? Dion talking about wanting to do more of an NFL type, training partner set up for future spring games. He wants the Buffs to play another team. I think Nebraska fans would be all over it. Maybe pairing up with Colorado, but also some area teams. What do you think? Can it happen?
I think it can. All the silly limitations on spring ball and things like that have sort of been washed out of the NCAA. Everybody wanted to do that years ago. We've been trying to do that, but they just wouldn't let it happen. Now, because it would create one more big money grab by universities and by athletic departments and TV, because TV would pay for it, and you'd make some money, and probably the kids would get paid for it. So I don't see anything that's going to hold this thing back. I think that it's probably going to happen.
So who?
Sooner or later.
Yeah,
I think it's a good. Yep.
Who do you pick? Do you try and take on somebody in your own conference? Do you go outside of conference? How would you approach this?
Well, I think you go outside of conference and give your kids a chance to go someplace they haven't been and not expose them to, any particular team. But I know Fran Brown at Syracuse reached out to Dion and wanted to come and said he would jump in and play. Syracuse would come out to Colorado and play. Why wouldn't they? So money that things that used to be a factor aren't factors anymore. I think it would make spring ball more meaningful. I think that fans would absolutely love it, and so I don't see anything that's a loss in here. I don't, other than. I guess technically you might not have as many, because there's limits on when you can practice and how many practices you can have, and there's limits on how many times a week or how often practice you can tackle. So I don't know if that would hurt it or not. I doubt it. I think they move around it anyway. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's a win-win.
So who would you have picked to team up against at Northwestern or Colorado? Would you designate anybody, or would it?
Well, if I was at Northwestern, I'd go somewhere south. I know that. And I play them down there every year. In Colorado, I think, you got to be a little careful with the portal these days, because if you go someplace really nice, some of your kids may stay there after you play a game. So you got to be a little careful with that. And you do expose more of your kids, like, one of the reasons Matt Rule's given for not doing a spring game is that everybody sees them. And but they see them anyway. They have access to all the film. So that sounds like a good reason, but in reality, that's not going to stop anybody. So I don't know. I think I'd almost ask my players where they'd want to go.
Okay.
I'd want to take them someplace that they haven't been. Now, they'd all say they want to go to a beach someplace. So UCLA would have about 50 teams lined up to play them. But, I don't know. I think I'd ask them where they'd want to go first.
Why not? Let's go play Hawaii, Coach. Let's go schedule the Warriors, right? And make it happen that way. Gary Barnett with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. So was looking at this article this week from Heather Denich, does a great job with ESPN, and she kind of laid out playoff teams and their biggest obstacles, and then some teams that were right on that fringe of being a playoff team. We'll see if things get expanded or not, but was touching on the Illinois and the South Carolinas that both had really good years at 10-3. And my question to you, as you navigated the coaching world, as you have a team that's about to pop, you go from, say you're at 500, or you have a big win, but you also have kind of a head scratcher loss based on, what the paper says you're supposed to beat X, Y, or Z. What takes you from that dangerous team to good team and good team to championship caliber when we're talking about the process of kind of making those moves, climbing the ladder as a program?
Chris, I think it's always something internal, inside the players. It could be maturity all of a sudden. It could be 2 or 3 guys that become, or 2 or 3 leaders that really step up, or guys that become leaders. I don't think it's anything you can necessarily put your finger on. It's always something intangible, and it's always something on the inside. It's occasionally something will happen to a team, and they'll internalize and motivate themselves because of something happened outside. We had a player that was killed in the summer before our workouts going to the Rose Bowl, and our kids seemed to internalize that kid a lot in that whole process. But it's always something you can't really plan on and put your finger on, and it generally comes out of some sort of leadership within your team.
Can you see what are some things you see from a kid or a player that makes that leadership jump? What are the actions or attitudes? What do you notice about how they carry themselves?
Well, for example, let's go Pat Fitzgerald. So we're in the second year. It's the third year that I've been there, and it's Pat's second year. And we're in 2-a-days, and we come in after our first practice, and we're sitting around the room, and man, I had watched Pat Fitzgerald at practice, and I'm just telling you, he took control of that practice, and he knew where the ball was going, and he held guys accountable. And I came in, I said, fellas, you're going to all go off to different places and coach somewhere. You're going to hire Pat Fitzgerald as one of your coaches someday, or you're going to try to. And so in our case, that's what it was right there at Northwestern. And the next year, we go to the Rose Bowl. And so in his third year, my fourth year. So it's something like that happens, and you can't orchestrate it. It just occurs. It's it's just a sort of a organic thing that happens within your program. And fortunately, we had a couple corners that could play at that level, and a safety that just came out of nowhere, kid from Phoenix. And all of a sudden we turn into a really good defense. And we had a guy from nowhere that nobody knew about that became a great player. So it's organic, and you can't plan it or plant it.
No, I get it. With Fitz, though, I mean, he's a guy that you really wanted to kind of build your program around, an incredible college football player, hell of a good coach as well. Did you sense and see that possibility in him, or was it strictly watching him live and watching film? I need that guy in the middle of my defense.
You know what? Fitz was not a highly recruited player. In fact, I was just with one of his teammates from high school, and we were talking, and he says Fitz wasn't even the best player on their team. And so, no, it just happened. Guys grow up, kids grow up, things become important to them. They see things all of a sudden. And, we didn't recruit Pat and say we're going to recruit a team around him. Not at all. We recruited good kids, and then we'd let them grow up and see what happens. And that's what happened with Pat. He just emerged. And I think because he emerged, other guys emerged. He took guys with him. And there's no way we could have planned that. We didn't see it coming out of high school. No one did. Notre Dame turned him down. A bunch of people turned him down. But that happens. That happens all the time in college football. Guys mature. Or, apples don't ripen at the same time. And that's just Pat's a perfect example of that.
Coach, friend of yours in the industry, Rich Rodriguez, back at West Virginia. It's got the old TikTok ban going, and I kind of stand and applaud that. I'm not a TikTok guy, but I can't dance either. So
what? You're not on TikTok?
I am not. Are you? How about you? Are you on TikTok?
Well, I was thinking maybe making a challenge dance.
Oh no! The old Coach Barnett challenge.
I don't even know how to get to TikTok, but that's okay. Well, Rich Rod's one of my favorite guys, and right after my last season in Colorado, because I was pretty sure I was going to get back in. I spent a spring with Rich Rod, and then went back for preseason camp, and then sort of followed him around. And so I really like it. You know, I liked him as a coach. I liked the way he ran his staff meetings. I liked everything about it. Thought it was a total mistake to go to Michigan. And I told him that, but he probably doesn't remember that, but it was just not a good fit. So, and now he's back where he did fit, and he's going to do great things there, I'll tell you.
Well, his offense, he was killing it with that spread, and it was, it was big time. All right, Coach Barnett, here we go. Final four. Gary Barnett's Final Four is who?
All right, I got Duke and Houston, Auburn, and Florida.
Coach, we have 3 of the 4.
Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
I'm warning you. I have Michigan State because my wife and son love Michigan State, and
that's a good reason.
Well, it is.
Let's see. I took Florida because I like their colors.
You took Florida because they're incredible. It's why you did it. That's why I did it. That's a great Final Four. I mean, I have Houston over Michigan State.
Well, I've got Florida winning it all, so we'll see. It's I'm in one pool. That's our family pool. Yeah. We have about 30 family members that are doing it. So anyway, we'll see how it works out.
Well, there's still time and room for you to jump in ours. You know, you got the link.
No, thanks.
Coach, you have a good weekend, and thanks for the time.
Hi, Chris. Great dealing with you.
No thanks, Barney. Good to spend time with Coach Gary Barnett. And we may have to do the old Barnett TikTok challenge, right? Can't get him in the bracket. Maybe we can get him on TikTok, huh? Jeff Smith will make sense of the Clemson game and talk NCAA tournament with us next on the Average Joe Sports Show.
Configuring the Bluetooth, deciding who controls the music, remembering where you parked. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with an auto owner's insurance independent agent, getting the right coverage for your vehicle doesn't have to be one of them. So you can get back to more important things, like remembering if you're on the 3rd or 4th level of the parking garage. That's simple human sense.
Ask Forsyth Insurance Agency if auto owners make sense for you. Go to ForsythINS.com. That's ForsythINS.com.
Hi, David Brooks here, president and founder of Retire Smart, inviting you to join me and Chip Maxwell every Saturday morning at 7 or Sunday mornings at 6 for the Retire Smart radio show. We'll provide you answers to your most pressing retirement questions and help you navigate ever uncertain financial times. Don't just retire, retire smart. That's Saturday mornings at 7 or Sunday mornings at 6.
Investment advisory services offered through Smart Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Hi, this is Jeff Mall with Visit Lincoln. On the heels of the last couple weeks of Nebraska State High School basketball in Lincoln, we continue to host other high school students and their schools over the next several weeks. The DECA Conference returns this weekend. FFA and their Familiar Jackets occurs April 2nd through the 4th, and FCCLA April 6th through the 8th. Once it's all said and done, we will have hosted over 9,000 students, in addition to their school support staff and families. Our team is incredibly fortunate to participate in and support these conferences as they are key components of our tourism economy for several sectors of business. We are also very appreciative of this relationship and once again welcome these students to Lincoln, knowing that this is an incredible opportunity to show our unique brand of hospitality and to entice new students to Lincoln after graduation, as well as develop new community leaders, business owners, and homeowners of tomorrow. I'm proud of tourism in our community, and it's one more thing I enjoy about life in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Mall.
For more than 100 years, Trump Memorial has served Nebraskans by creating beautiful custom monuments and markers for their loved ones. Trump Memorial now offers full-service funerals and cremations. custom memorials, and funeral services at the most reasonable prices. Save money and gain peace of mind by pre-planning your funeral and memorial needs at Trump Memorial and Funeral Services at 1600 West O Street in Lincoln. Proudly affiliated with Moon and Sun Monument Company of Fairbury, providing quality memorials since 1886.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb, expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer, $149 or less, ends soon. One expert tax prep for $149.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back with you as it is Tournament Thursday on the Average Joe Sports Show. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Hall of Fame coach with Southeast, and he went dancing in the golden era of Nebraska basketball. Danny Nee, head man, Jeff Smith, assistant. Coach Jeff Smith with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Coach, happy Tournament Thursday. How we doing?
Yeah, great. It's one of the best days of the year, best weekends of the year. So, you got to, if you're a basketball person, you love it. And that golden era should have got us to about 2 Sweet 16s, but that's my fault. I'll take the blame.
No, you're fine. I'm not going to rewrite, although Georgia would like to send their complaint to the committee for being paired against Gonzaga. Clemson needed to draft Amir Abdullah to bail them out today against McNeese. That didn't happen. That has shaken a lot of folks' bracket. BYU held serve, and Creighton got dialed in, man, the final 10 minutes of that first half and cruised in the second half. What's your takeaways, thoughts early on from today's first half? And tonight, you got the Mavs going, which we're all kind of excited about. And you know what? It's about matchups, Coach Smith, but also Clemson didn't look real interested, and, man, it cost them.
Yeah, you don't know if they're tight, or I don't know how you couldn't be interested. They kind of had a veteran team back that had been in the tournament, and that's hard. Those are hard to explain. Sometimes you just start missing and everybody tightens up. It's happened in the state tournament with us before, and then you finally get your head right, and you have to be aggressive, and you start attacking pressure better, and a couple shots fall, and they made a good run, but it just dug themselves in a deep hole. And in the tournament, everybody's good, and you give somebody hope and get that far down, it's really hard to come back. But I did see, I don't know if you've talked about this, but I saw the stat that KenPom, if you're top 22 offensively in the nation, top 32 defensively in the nation, that 95% of teams that have won it have been in that category. And there's 9 teams in this tournament that fit that. And it's kind of the obvious ones: Duke, Florida, Auburn, Houston, Tennessee, Gonzaga's in there. Iowa State is, but we know they have somebody hurt. Mm-hmm. And then Wisconsin and barely Alabama. So I kind of went heavy on those teams knowing that stat. And of course, some of those are pretty easy picks. But Creighton was fun to watch today. They got it rolling. I hope that people, I know there's some Nebraska fans that don't love Creighton, but if you haven't loved watching Ryan Kalkbrenner develop the last 5 years and the way he dominates games, he's been a great college player 60 miles away from here that has gotten better every year. And I know Jemiah Neal played wonderful today, and Ashworth played well, and Jason Green's given them better minutes than he has before. But Kalkbrenner with his 5 blocks, even one late when they were kind of making a charge, he blocks Chucky's shot, and he just changes everything around the rim. And he drew so much attention in the middle of that first half that guys were just getting wide open looks. And once they started falling, Creighton looked great today. And now we'll see how they do against the number 1 seed.
Yeah, you could just see how uncomfortable Louisville looked inside the lane on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. Anytime the ball got down low, it just seemed like they got really uncomfortable with that Kalkbrenner presence. But I do want to get into Louisville and the ACC. It's been a really, really, really rough first day for the ACC. They still have Duke there, but what are your thoughts just on the ACC? We thought maybe it was a down year, but I don't know if people knew is this bad. Pretty universally today, the ACC teams have looked bad.
Yeah, North Carolina looked good in their play-in game. We'll see. I took them another round just because they've kind of been hot, and they just about beat Duke in that tournament, and so I kind of went with them too. But yeah, I agree. A little rough on the ACC, and I said this I think last time we talked or somewhere. It's hard once you get into conference play and you're just playing each other. It's really sometimes hard to know where you're at and how much you've improved with I still feel like the Big Ten was pretty darn good league and deep. And, the ACC, sometimes a couple teams can look really good, but maybe the ACC isn't quite what it stacked up to be. And this is where we find out, the Big Ten's already won 2 and ACC's already lost 2. And this is kind of where we find out how good leagues really are when they get back out of conference play after, beating each other up in conference. And sometimes like the Big Ten so deep, you got to get better in the league or you're not going to be in the tournament, kind of like what happened to Nebraska.
Jeff Smith is with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Coach Smith, of course, with the Southeast Knights, Hall of Fame coach there, assistant with Nebraska basketball and Danny Nee. I know we were talking a year ago with Nebraska and A&M and so much juice and joy for Nebraska fans to be back in the tournament. And Coach, I want to go into this story from Peter Nakos of On3, and he's talked to a lot of folks in the college basketball world. I want to get your take because you lived in it for such a long time. To be a top 25 team, you need $4.5 to $7 million commitment to NIL. What do you think of that number, those numbers, that range? And do you think Nebraska basketball can be a have in it and invest wisely?
I'm not that deep into it, but from some of the people that I know that talk about, what Chucky, what Louisville paid and what, some of these guys, Tanjay and stuff, I would say that's pretty accurate. I would say that I'm guessing that Nebraska's probably got to up their game a little bit in what they're spending if they want to, because unfortunately it's almost about, buying a team and maybe you still get lucky on a few recruits, but you've got to be competitive in your bid, whatever that is. And I hope the extra $20 million helps us in that. I don't know how they're splitting that up for sure yet. I know football is going to get a lot, but hopefully that can add to that pot. And hopefully if our collective keeps building and growing, we can keep adding to that. And because I just think, I'm sure Creighton is spending more in basketball than we are, and it's kind of showing, although they've had a couple long-term players that have been difference makers. But I would guess that that's from the little I know of a few people at that level right now. I would guess that's probably pretty accurate.
When you talk about Creighton outspending Nebraska, Justin, I know you don't have inside knowledge there. I kind of feel the same way. What is your reaction to that? I mean, do you think it makes it more difficult on Nebraska whenever it's Husker football? The whole state's all behind the University of Nebraska with a football team. Creighton, Nebraska, they're kind of competing within the state. A lot of college basketball teams also go through that, but just kind of your thoughts on if that makes it more difficult for Nebraska.
Oh, definitely. And especially with Creighton's, recent success, recent tradition in the tournament. And again, I'm Nebraska first, but I love Coach Mack. I've gone to some practices. He's unbelievably friendly and helpful. And when I was coaching, we'd go every year and visit them, and he'd share anything. And Fred does the same thing. But you got to respect what they do, even if some people want to divide. You got to respect what they do. But they have I've heard they double Nebraska's money in basketball. But again, I'm not deep into it and know that. But they also have. Their facilities are unbelievable. Nebraska's are really nice, the Hendricks Center, but Creighton's are right there with them or ahead of us. And they have that tradition of getting in the tournament and being, in the top of the Big East right now. And so we're fighting that. And the Omaha kids, we wanted Jason Green, and Nebraska did. Nebraska wanted Isaac Trout. We've wanted some of those guards that they've gotten in the past. But so, and I know for a fact that Nebraska went hard after Tanjay, but just couldn't get in that game. And maybe some of that's the tradition of postseason play.
Jeff Smith is with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Well, you start getting into March, if you're Nebraska on a consistent basis, maybe it's easier to get a Rich King. Maybe it's easier to get a kid out of Central or Western Nebraska or an Omaha Central. Coach Smith, you were again going to NCAA tournaments, 3 seeds and in some 8-9 seed seasons, but you guys really did well in Nebraska. You did well in Nebraska, and you were able to kind of compound that because you won. You won, and then you just kept adding to the fray, so to speak, with Nebraska kids and other kids.
Yeah, and the other approach we took is that they were going to recruit each other. So
Sure.
if we get Eric Strickland from Bell West, he's going to help us get Terrence Badgett. If we get Terrence Badgett, then Jerron Boone maybe looks at that as a kind of former Omaha kid and said, "Oh, the Omaha kids are going there and believe in it." And then you go up and get Piakowski out of Rapid City / Scotts Bluff, and then Bruce Chubbick's looking at that and say, "Oh, they're dedicated to finding these guys around the 500-mile radius." And it just they'd start recruiting each other, and they see that it's kind of a popular thing to go there. And you're right, they could see that we were on the uptick. That 26-8 season kind of opened everything up for us, that there was all of a sudden a belief that we were going the right direction. Before that, people weren't sure, but when that one, and then, we just needed to win that. I've said it 1,000 times. We just needed to win that Xavier game, and, could eventually play Duke, but it didn't happen. So now Fred's got to go find guys, and Coach Lenzer and those guys, they got to find guys that don't care about the past as much as where we're going, what they can do with them development wise, which Fred has a really good track record of and a history of. Here's the money we can give you that's competitive. You just got to believe in us, and you can just sell them the dream. You got to sell them the dream. We can be the first team, and this place will go crazy when that happens. And I think it's great that Omaha's in it. I think it's great that Creighton's a successful. That should raise our level too. But at the same time, that makes it tough to recruit some of the kids out of the metro area that we want. And unfortunately, this year there aren't a lot of them. The state tournament, there weren't a lot of Division I players in that state tournament this year. But I know that since Coach Lenzer's been here, they have emphasized. He knows. I talked to him about the kids, and he knows them. I go to do a radio game, you and I, and I call him and say, "What about?" He said, "Oh yeah, I watched him. He came to our camp, or we went up and watched him and talked to his coach." They are evaluating hard these kids, and you just hope. I don't know if that happened the first 3 or 4 years Fred was here, but I know it's happened since they've kind of turned things over, and now they know their system. They missed on a couple that fit into this year's system, didn't fit into this year's system. So they'll hopefully go get guys that fit into the system that they run defensively, that they want offensively. And I still think it's, comes down to getting 2 really good point guards and 2 or 3 really good shooters. And because that's what Fred needs. He needs to have guys space out and make shots, because I said last time we talked, he's always gotten guys shots. Even his first year here, they weren't that good, but they got guys looks. They just don't make enough of them. So we got to find some Iowa type guys that can shoot a little bit. And then you got to have the athleticism at the guards to pressure and, use that comment. And then he always needs a big like Rink coming back that can pick and pop and pass and cut, hit cutters and stretch people. And that's what I know that's what they're looking for.
Jeff Smith with us. Coach, hang on 2 seconds. We got a hard break here, and we'll come back on the other side. Hang tight.
You got it.
Limitless Mail has redefined the little blue pill. with our new ED trochees that melt in your mouth, delivering faster results so you can be spontaneous again. Once you try the Limitless Male Trochee, you won't go back to the little blue pill. Our trochees go right to the source through your bloodstream, leading to quicker, harder results. To experience the difference for yourself and your partner, schedule a free consult with the men's health experts at limitlessmale.com.
Something amazing is happening in data management. Even though storage needs are constantly changing, companies are only paying for what they need now. That's because CDW customized a Pure Storage Evergreen One SLA-driven storage as a service solution that delivers enterprise-grade hybrid cloud storage that is effortless, efficient, and evergreen. Simplify storage administration with Pure Storage at CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/purestorage.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good, and they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection.
We're back with more. It's the Average Joe Sports Show with Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Jeff Smith's a little overtime with us. Danny Burke in a moment. Jeff Smith, Hall of Fame basketball coach. Coach, what game are you watching tonight? I know you can watch all four at once, like I can on the old multi-view. But are you gearing up towards Arkansas, Kansas? You checking out the Mavs? You like Drake, Mizzou? Who are you focusing in on tonight?
Yeah, a guy that I worked with out at Eastern Washington, David Carter's an assistant with Missouri, so I talked to him a couple times, and I'll keep my eye on them. I've always watched Kansas fairly close. Bill Self and I were GAs at the same time. He was at Oklahoma State, and I was at Nebraska. We used to change scouting reports, and then of course the local teams are. So it's going to be difficult. I'm pretty good at multitasking these games, so we'll have the multi-screen on. And do the best we can.
Can I say, I think multi-view is overrated. They have the little score ticker up in the top if you're on a one-screen action. If you want to go multi-screen, go to a local establishment that's got the multi-TV setup.
I've been called boring because my plan is to go work out tonight and watch on my phone.
Well, I still set up extra TVs because the small boxes sometimes just don't do it for me.
That's
so
what
I'll
I'm
have
saying.
My main game on. And or go to the press box or whatever.
Yeah, well, free shout out Thursday.
Plug for John Larson.
Yes. Well,
but then I'll have a multi-screen down below so I can kind of keep an eye on them. But you're right. Yeah, it's sometimes ticker. You're just switching back and forth.
No, he's got the setup. The two screen, one can be multi-view, one's got the main screen. That's acceptable in my eyes. I love that.
Yep.
Well, Coach, we'll see you later, it sounds like. I appreciate your time.
I did fill out the above average Joes. You guys are. I'm below average, but I did fill out the bracket, so we'll see how I fare against you guys.
Oh,
I took Tennessee, Florida in the final. I like Rick Barnes. We went down on a visit with Matt Hill, and he was great guy when we went down and watched a couple practices. So I like him.
Barnes is
better
good
than
stuff.
Bruce Pearl.
You and Dolman will have to trade stories about old Coach Barnes next time we connect. Coach, thanks for the time. We'll see you this weekend, bud. Take care.
Yep. All right. Bye.
There he is. Jeff Smith with us, Hall of Fame coach. Here on the Average Joe Sports Show, we'll get to Danny Burke here. I know Black Hills, Brandon and crew are wanting Danny's thoughts tonight, but it is a glorious day with all sorts of action. Texted Earl Buddy, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp from the weekend edition, and the Sunday Average Joe Sports Show Live. He's hunkered down in Providence, ready to call UNO St. John's against Slick Rick tonight. I hope Patino is wearing the all-white Godfather 2 suit tonight. Probably not, but maybe he'll break it out. Of course, Patino played his college ball at Providence, coached at Providence before his different stops around the college basketball and NBA world. Danny Burke with us, Burke's Best Bets, burksbeat.com, Stochastic and Odd Shopper. Danny, how's the tournament treated you so far? You counting some hundreds?
Honestly, it's been okay. I mean, famous last words there, fellas, but in terms of seasons past, I think I'm pleasantly surprised with how the first round and first half of, I guess, the first day, is very minimal, but has begun. I mean, I think the only one that really burned me, I had Clemson in a bit more brackets than I did McNeese. I know McNeese was kind of that, hot underdog team in that 12 seed, especially with their manager always carrying around the boombox, so that got a lot of attraction. But I aired more to the side of Clemson, was very big on BYU, so happy that came through. And then I hate to say this, Husker fans, but my first bet of the day in the tournament was Creighton plus the point. So that was nice to see them come through. And, I got a couple more to sweat out. Gonzaga's another nice one, but that's not saying anything crazy. They were a very popular pick for a lot of people and even potentially win in the next round. But, so we're feeling all right. How are you guys hanging?
Clemson backhanded a lot of us.
Not me.
Okay, so Elijah's.
I'm going to gloat on that one.
Black Hills Brandon had to go to, I think he said, was it Montana or Wyoming? Wyoming to put his wagers down.
He says he's got a 10 spot on Omaha, the money line at plus 1280.
I love that.
That'd be a nice little payday.
It's a lot of rounds to buy Black Hills Brennan.
Danny, do you like Omaha tonight?
I can't say I do necessarily. However, I have St. John's falling short in the second round in a solid amount of brackets. So I'm also in a survivor, and I have 3 entries. So I did BYU with one, Gonzaga another, and then St. John's was like my chalkier play. But I wanted to have a little bit more of a security play, but also a team that is a bigger favorite in that first round, but I wouldn't really want to exhaust the next go round. So St. John's was that selection for me. So, hey, I mean, I'm not that high on them, and maybe Omaha can give them a run for their money. Who knows?
Well, Danny, there have been some popular underdogs tonight. Even if you're not on Omaha, I know a lot of people are on Yale. A lot of people are on Drake. Mm-hmm. Utah State's only a 5.5-point underdog to UCLA. And then the big underdog that everyone's on, everyone loves UC San Diego this year. Do you like any of the underdogs tonight?
So that UC San Diego Michigan game has been fascinating to watch and hear unfold amongst everybody, because you're right. I mean, it seems like that is the underdog to pick, and it's not even really that big of an underdog in terms of the betting perspective, because Michigan's anywhere from like a 2 to a 2.5 point favorite. But as soon as Selection Sunday ended, everybody was talking about UC San Diego. It's gotten to the point, Elijah, where it's too popular of a dog, right? Mm-hmm. And it just makes Michigan, from just that pure standpoint, all the more attractive. But even outside of that, I did actually, I should say, take Michigan. That's going to be my last bet of the evening. I have one more in between, but I like Michigan here. I laid about minus $1.34 on the money line. I think they're going to use that fuel as everybody going on the hot hand in UC San Diego, even more so as motivation. And I just think UC San Diego is going to have a tough time defending some of the bigs on the side of the Wolverines. So Michigan getting a tad bit overlooked there. So I definitely like the Wolverines in that spot. You also mentioned Yale and Texas A&M, the other official play that I did have. I am on the side of the dog in this one, which may be more of a popular play. I did take 7 in the hook with the Ivy Leaguers there with Yale against the Aggies. I just really don't like the offense of what Texas A&M has and brings to the table, the offense. I mean, their effective field goal percentage just abysmal, and I get it with straight the schedule and the rebounding advantage that the Aggies do have, especially on the offensive glass. But if Yale can get hot offensively themselves and at least refuse to make those simple mistakes that can cause Texas A&M to gain the momentum on the glass, then Yale can easily keep this one close. Heck, they can obviously outright win it, but certainly leaning more toward taking that security with 7 and a hook. It just seems like too much for a team that's proven that they can score against an A&M team that can be very, very streaky.
Yeah. A&M, the best way to describe them, when things stop going their way, they can turn into an F it and chuck it type team, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Popular exclamation and scream on your Thursdays after your first opening rounds. Daddy, about 30 seconds, might take a little overtime from you. But just real quick, something to ponder here before the next segment, Friday's slate. We'll dive into that real quick. Daddy, where can folks find you on social media as far as what you're doing here with some of the handicapping?
Yeah, at Danny Burke 5 is where you can follow me on Twitter, and then all the picks are being posted on daily threads there, and as well as oddshopper.com. Again, all that information can be easily accessible on the Twitter if you don't want to, type it into yourself at oddshopper.com, and then my Twitter at Danny Burke 5.
Danny, hang tight. We want some Friday thoughts. Be back with final wrap Thursday edition. Your Bracket Buster Thursday here with the Average Joe Sports Show, Average Joe Sports Show Network.
Whether you're a young bachelor with a dog, a couple just starting to grow your family, or empty nesters looking to downsize, Liberty First Credit Union has a full suite of mortgage options with low to no money down to ensure you get that home you've been dreaming of. Since Liberty First is not-for-profit and member-owned, mortgage advisors are on your side and work hard to provide you the best loan. For current rates, options, or to complete a mortgage application, access libertyfirstcu.com. Equal housing opportunity.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Here's another satisfied customer of 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, Anita Bennett.
When I first heard about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, I thought, there's no way they could do a good job in 3 days, and they must carry only the plain Jane basics in cabinets, countertops, and flooring. Then they came to our house, and we found out they offered top quality materials with tons of choices and lots of custom options. They worked with us to design a bathroom that was perfect for our family. They looked at our needs and thought of details I hadn't even considered. The installation was clean, thorough, and professional, and they were done in just 3 days. When we got back from the hotel, I couldn't believe the difference. The bathroom is beautiful.
See us on the web at 3daykitchen.com.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
For your 3-Day Kitchen and Bath needs, contact Good Guy Construction, 435-3355.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh. We told you. Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food.
The Windy City, famous for hot dogs, deep dish pizza, and Danny Burke. The pride of Chicago is dropping dimes. It's Burke's Best Bets on the Average Joe Sports Show.
Some overtime with Danny Burke, burksbeat.com, Burke's Best Bets at Danny Burke 5, pride of Chicago with us. Danny, what do you like Friday's slate?
Yeah, guys, the first one that stands out to me, and again, not going anything crazy here necessarily in terms of a slight upset with the seeding, but not with the odds. It's Colorado State over Memphis. I mean, there's a reason the market's moving in that direction. of the Rams here. And this team is very equally balanced with adjusted offensive efficiency, likewise on the defensive end. And I know you can make relatively that same argument for Memphis, but I just think Colorado State has that slight advantage there. And we know both teams are willing to chuck it from deep, but also efficient within the perimeter is Colorado State there. And they've done a little bit better job at limiting the turnovers than Memphis has, and defensive rebounding, Colorado has been tremendous there. So they get the nod for me in that matchup. Like, I'm obviously in the bracket, and then I am probably going to bet them. Just going to wait to see if the line moves a little bit before tip-off, or as we get closer to tip-off, just to see if we can't get a little bit better of a price. I haven't bet this one, and I don't know if I'm going to, guys, but one that certainly causes a lot of intrigue is Ole Miss and North Carolina. I mean, it would just be so classic for the Tar Heels after, in the midst of everything, the turmoil of them getting in, to not only get in past the playing game, but then to win in that first round. And look, outside of all that noise, I mean, we have seen in the past these teams in those first 4 playing games. I mean, they carry that momentum. You already have a game under your belt. You get a little bit of the pressure out of the way. You carry that over against an Ole Miss team they match up fairly well against. I could see the Tar Heels getting past here, and the betting market seems to believe the same. So that would probably be the game where I would consider next betting. Again, I haven't done it. I also think Troy could keep things close against Kentucky, and a little bit of a lean there toward New Mexico. Those are the ones that stand out pretty heavily amongst that slate tomorrow.
So, Danny, you don't think I should fade the ACC and take Mount St. Mary's plus 32.5 against the Duke Blue Devils?
A lot of points.
Not quite, although I am shorting this Duke team in terms of the long run here. Maybe a little bit of an upset. How about Liberty over Oregon? I'll give you something there potentially. Maybe they can make some noise. I like that in a couple brackets at least.
All right. There he goes. Danny Burke, Pride of Chicago, Burke's Best Bets, burksbeat.com. Black Hills Brandon says, is UNC the 2021 UCLA Bruins? We shall see. I know that Mick Cronin's pretty scary. You don't like when Mick's angry. May take a tire iron to you. Daddy, enjoy your tournament. Enjoy these next couple of days, today and tomorrow, and into the weekend, bud. And we'll check in with you next week. Thanks for taking a few minutes today.
Always a blast, guys. Enjoy it yourselves. Take care.
There he is, Danny Burke with us. Burke's Best Bets, burksbeat.com, at Danny Burke 5. He's all over it. I might have to make a trip out between shows tomorrow and fire up a parlay.
Oh, the vaunted Average Joe Show parlay.
Yes. Don't you think?
Count me out. We're bad. we're bad luck on that.
We've been so close in football.
Yeah, that's the point of a parlay, is you're supposed to be close and not get it. Like,
yeah. We probably overexhausted our picks. It was the Uncut Gems mother of all parlays.
Let's find one wicked money line play to put down. Let's pick the upset tomorrow.
We'll figure it out.
Troy
Back tomorrow at 4 with the Average Joe Sports Show. Enjoy the tournament. Thanks for tuning in.